In my search for understanding the elements better, I looked especially at water in the last couple of weeks. And at a certain moment, Jeanne invited me to ask Mother Earth about what she wanted to share in this moment during that period of searching. I think we can all agree that water is very important for life. Without it, there is no life. So we see water as important and we think we understand water. But when I was looking deeper into it, I thought, no, there's a lot I don't understand. I grew up in the Netherlands, and then water is such a common phenomenon. We see water everywhere. Canals, small, large. But when I lived for 6 years in Kenya, my whole idea about the importance of water changed quite a lot. I understood finally the importance for life on a much deeper level that I was never forced to look at when I was still living in the Netherlands. Jeanne made essences, and she always used water for that. And initially I didn't understand it, but I could not deny that when you work with water and a certain object or energy in a certain way, water really takes on the essence of that energy. And I learned to work with that so that I could make an essence of places that most people couldn't reach, so that I could bring it into workshops and in other gatherings, so that we can, at the spot during such a workshop, recreate the energy vortex or the energy of that particular place in such a way that people could connect with it. And I knew that water could do it because I felt it, I experienced it, but still I was very surprised about the fact that water was able to do that. And it was the need for deeper understanding that prompted this connection with Mother Earth. And she gave a message in which she included something more personal that referred actually to Jeanne's work with the essences. But we thought that we should present Mother Earth's message unaltered, including that maybe a little bit more personal aspect. I hope that you get stimulated by the message of Mother Earth to explore water on a much deeper level than we generally tend to do. There are very many ways you can look at water, or at least what you call water. But the most important way to look at it is from my perspective, Mother Earth perspective. Because water is functioning at different, you can say, planets, stars, in different ways. And it is actually you can say, a energy, an expression of an energy that is expressed in different ways in different places in the universe. So in order to understand water, as it is important for you to understand, you have to go back to my situation, where you look at water from the perspective as it functions within my system. And in that way, you can say there are a number of aspects to look at. There is the aspect of what you can call bodies of water, flows of water, like rivers and lakes and seas. And there is water in, you can say, in the air, and that you experience as rain under certain circumstances, or snow. And there is water, you can say, within my energy bodies. Water that is not directly recognizable yet as water. So the dynamic within my system is those three elements. And they all fulfill, you can say, a different role. And we have to be very clear. We talk about water as a manifestation of the power that that started at the very beginning of creation. It's one of the three fundamental powers that, through different steps and ways, ultimately comes into the form of water as you experience it here on Earth. The manifestation of it within my system. Looking at it from that perspective, you may understand that the knowledge of water is limited. Water is not just H2O, as most people would say. It's not that. It's also that. But that's just giving an indication of the basic element that is part of water. But water is a dynamic, and you can almost say fluid system. And when I say fluid system, I'm not only meaning that it is a fluid, but it also means that it is actually never constant. It is always changing. And that is its purpose, because it always reflects the condition I am in, which means the condition you are in, which means the conditions the plants and the animals are in, the crystalline energies are in. It reflects all that all the time. And since that is not constant, you may understand that you cannot say that water is constant. So within the physical system as you perceive it, the water in the lakes and the rivers, even there are different dynamics. For example, a lake is having its own dynamic, has its own functionality, is its own, you can almost say, conscious unit in some ways, and that's the reason why it has its own deva. While the water itself has another devic type that you now call a fluidium. They work together in different ways. They work together in a way that is for you still not easy to understand. But let me try to explain it to you by saying that the deva is looking at the physical manifestation and is caring for that, while the fluidium is understanding the principles, the way it functions. And on top of that, you have the water as an elemental power that, of course, plays a role as well. And that is why, since that is power is the dominant power within water, there's an enormous important role of water is creation. Now, what is creation? Creation is actually the translation of energy into something. And water is the most superb material to receive information out of which creation can happen. And in many ways, it is continuously happening. You are, when before you're born, you are developing in water. And people are all aware of that, but they don't really understand the importance of it. It's true that any pollution is having an effect on you, but the pollution of water has the consequence that the information that leads to creation is also polluted, leading to a creation of the world that you're living in, which is, we may say, pretty messed up. And water is playing an unbelievable important role in that. You can say the crystalline energies have all kinds of dynamic energies that is passing on to water. So if the crystalline energies are not working, it is contributing to the disturbance of the water. But there are a lot of other fields and energies and inductions that goes into the water. It's a very complex mixture of different energies, different information, and all is translated into the overall condition from where creation takes place. And this is so important that I put a lot of emphasis on that statement. So it may help you to understand why increasingly you see a weakening of systems, a weakening of your system. Look, in all honesty, at the human physical system. It is weakening. It becomes more and more susceptible for all kinds of influences. And as you know, you're mostly water, and that is holding the information that is co-determining how you feel, how you are, how you evolve, how you create, how you send out information. There is a truth that water is resonating with each other, although you can say each place has its own vibration as well. And that's why it's so complex for you to comprehend. And that has to do with that tremendous, dynamic, continuously changing energies, continuously flowing with what is. Water has no judgment. It simply flows. So if you mess it up, it simply flows with it. If you bring it into harmony, it flows with it. Water has not been given the free will. It has been given a role and a function in the whole, and it needs to fulfill that function. You are the co-creators. You determine the quality of the water, the quality of all the energies, of the air, of the earth, of the energies, the fire. Learning to work with those elements and the powers, the elemental powers that govern the elements, is actually crucial for the change. It is part of metaphysical ecology. It's the part that has not been paid much attention to. Yeah, you can look at, the clustering and all this kind of beautiful thing, but do you really understand what that means and why it's doing it that way? No. Learning to connect with water on that level is still a pretty open area. And you have to realize that, especially you, Jeanne, has an understanding of water that goes beyond what most know. Not an understanding in the terms of I can teach people this and that, other than through experiencing what you can do with it, but you have introduced an understanding for those who can translate that those who can translate have not grasped. Making essences in the way you did is actually holding a lot of the way water works. And it helps to understand the larger picture of water and its functioning. I am very aware that there are so many aspects of my system that you want to study, to look at, to share with others, and that it's not something that one head or two heads or even 100 heads can comprehend. It is something that you have to accept will take time. But whatever you can bring in is for the benefit of all. Talking about it is opening this particular sharing and is the beginning of working with it on an even more expanded way. It is important for you, Jeanne, to realize that you induce and have induced so many things. You do it right now again. Whatever has been said here now is contributing to the collective and will get more and more form over time. There are a lot of people that love water. If they get a tiny little nudge, they may go more into the direction that will help to more fully understand the gifts that water holds, the role it plays, and how you can learn to work with it for the benefit of all, everything on my planet. We know your passion, and we are very aware how important water is. And you are right. It is very important. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to share this. So ponder on what has been shared and begin to explore from here to the degree that feels right for you. And at least it has stimulated in such a way that I'm quite sure that it will be put into many other presentations, sharings, and discussions. It is inevitable. And not only do I stimulate it, the Fluidians have waited for a long time to be recognized and have a standing invitation to work with them, which goes beyond what you already know. It's another induction that will lead to many possibilities. Again, thank you for inducing it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this.